Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okuru. Police in Lagos State continue the search for 6 students kidnapped by gunmen at a secondary school in Lagos State. The incident occurred on Thursday morning at Igbonla Model College, Ekpe, Niger's southwest region. Authorities are yet to reveal if the kidnappers have demanded ransom for the students. Now, following the incident, the Lagos State House of Representatives has called on the police authorities to intensify its search for the school children. Sadiq Abubakar, who is the chief of the air staff, says the nation's Air Force bases are under threat of attacks. Abubakar said this at the opening of the base defense planning retreat held in Kaduna State. He also said officers and men of the force had been placed on red alert to prevent any imminent attack on Air Force. The Nigerian government has confirmed that no fewer than 5 of its country's embassies abroad will be shut down. It's yet to reveal which embassy in particular would be closed down by authorities. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema made the announcement at a news conference held in Abuja. He said the cost of closing down embassies is so high, but admitted that it will be more reasonable going forward.
We're in the process of what I learned, and I must say, which is not obvious, is the expense and cost of closing embassies. In fact, it's so high and prohibitive that you really wonder whether you want to close them, that it might almost be, more profitable to keep them open. But of course, in the long run, it will be more economical. But we have identified about 5, if I'm correct, that we want to close. And so the process is ongoing.
The United States government says it has donated an additional $9.5 million to the UN's World Food Program. This will ensure that more than 175,000 mothers and children under 5 do not suffer from malnutrition during this year's lean season. The aid was donated through the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. It says the aid increases ongoing support for the humanitarian assistance in Niger's northeast region. Kogi State Governor has been accused of violating electoral laws. The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC says Yahaya Bello registered for permanent voters card 2 times, once in Abuja and the other in Lokoja. Bello's actions came to public when photographs showed him being registered by INEC officials in his office in Lokoja, his state capital. INEC says Bello acted illegally but can't be prosecuted just yet due to his immunity as governor of Kogi State. State governors are accusing the administration of former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan of discrimination in the sharing of ecological funds to states. An interim report submitted by the National Executive Council's ad hoc committee on management of ecological fund revealed that 19 states, including Abuja, are yet to benefit from the 1% share of the fund as stipulated by the Nigerian law. The interim report also states that those that benefited from the ecological fund are governors of the PDP. Now, PDP was Niger's former ruling party for 16 years. Nigerians in Chinese prisons who intend to serve out their sentences in Nigeria may be able to do that pretty soon. The government says it is working with the Chinese government to transfer its citizens serving prison sentences in China back into the country. Geoffrey Onyema, who is Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, made the announcement at a news conference held in Abuja. The minister, however, didn't state how the prisoners to be transferred back to Nigeria would be selected.
A prisoner exchange system is obviously something we know we have to try and have an agreement with China on. the prisoners, I think, who are facing capital on death row. We reach out to the government to commute the death sentences, and those that are there, we make strenuous efforts to try to get them back home to serve their sentences, and so forth. But of course, we don't yet have a prisoner. It's not really exchange. It's a prisoner transfer agreement with China, but we're working to have one in place. There's also a mechanism for prisoner transfer to serve out their prison terms, because some of them asked us that if they could be transferred to serve their prison terms in Nigeria. But yesterday the Minister of Interior presented to the FEC, Federal Executive Council, a memo on reforming the whole prison system in Nigeria. And he showed some slides of Nigerian prisons. My God, I could never believe such things existed in my life. So people who are asking to be transferred to Nigerian prisons, when I saw that, no more comments. Thank you very much.
More on our top story. The European Union says it's ready to partner with Nigeria in setting up ideas to promote the country. Gianni Pittella, who is the President Group of Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats in the European Union Parliament, disclosed this in Abuja. Pittella says the fact-finding visit to Nigeria is primarily to discuss issues centered on migration, security, education, and the humanitarian situation in the Northeast region.
The objective, the aim of our mission is ambitious: to transform the approach of the relationship between European Union and Africa. In the past, this approach was focused on the short-term vision. We have been the actor of hate for Africa, but we renounced to be a real partner. We renounced to be a real protagonist of a political partnership with Africa. I think that Africa is part of our future, and Europe has to be part of your future. Together, hands by hands, hands with hands, Nigerian and the European can build a better future for their people.
About 165 Nigerians have voluntarily returned from Libya aboard a chartered aircraft. The returnees were made up of 97 males, 54 females, and 11 children, as well as 3 infants. They were brought back by the International Organization for Migration and the Nigerian Embassy in Libya. The returnees were received at the Hajj camp area of the airport by officers of the Nigerian Immigration Service, the National Agency for the Protection of Trafficking in Persons (NAPTIP), and the Nigerian Police Force. Also on ground to receive them were officials of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. The Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas is slamming a proposed amendment of an act that led to its establishment. The amendment by Nigerian lawmakers require NLNG to make a payment equivalent to 3% of its annual budget to the Niger Delta Development Commission. Now, speaking to TV360's Deji Badmosi, the general manager of NLNG condemned the act, saying it will only harm foreign investments in the country.
The position in which we are now, as economically, will get worse. Because we don't have the money to invest as a country. So we need confidence of investors to bring in their money, for us to invest create wealth, create jobs. What we're doing is we're basically making them lose confidence in our nation. And don't forget, you're doing this to your number one, Nigeria's most successful, the best of the success as it was described by the Minister of Information, the success of successes as it was described by certain ministers also. That is what you're harming. And this is not because this organization is not doing, we are the flagship as far as CSR is concerned in the Niger Delta and beyond. And most people who follow CSR know how much work we're doing, and we're ready to do more. We show the way. We put out 3 billion, for instance, every year for the next 25 years to help to develop our host community.
And that's why some people are saying, if you do all of this, so why would
it's about
3%?
Law. It's about promise. It's about the sanctity of your word. It's about Nigeria. It's about the credibility of our nation. That's what it is. So tomorrow, when our president goes out, reaches agreements with other countries, we want people to respect him. And to respect the law and to know that whatever he says will be kept. Especially if it's now been enshrined into a law. Is it that our words don't mean anything? Our laws don't mean anything? Is that the message you want to send to the world? This is where the pain is.
And tell us about the 18,000 jobs that you talked about earlier.
The 18,000 jobs
that we stand to lose.
For construction of Train 7, we're going to have 18,000 jobs created. And that will be in the heart of the Niger Delta. I need you to think about the implications of that for peace, for getting the young ones employed and engaged. 18,000 jobs.
And you're basically saying,
of course,
if this amendment eventually sails through,
of course,
everything could just go down.
It just goes down. Because I've proven to you that as an investor, once your confidence is shattered, you're not likely, especially where you have other opportunities, to devote the capital to the same place that has shattered your confidence.
The NLNG boss also spoke on the issue of tax raised by Liu Oga, who is a member of the House of Representatives and who is sponsoring the bill to amend the act. He says the accusation of non-payment of tax by the organization is false and should be disregarded by Nigerians.
Incentives had long expired. Why did we pay taxes? Why have we paid up to $5.5 billion in taxes? Is it because they were not expired? It's because they had long expired. That's why we're the biggest tax-paying organization in Nigeria and probably in Africa. So how did that happen? Don't be fooled. We're talking about guarantees and assurances. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the agreements that we entered into as a nation. We're talking about the consequences that will befall this nation in terms of our outlook in the world, in drawing in finances.
That was a very good business. Yeah. The furniture you brought was very perfect.
But that's how we roll.
Then let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much was it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
Mbano. The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no, I doesn't do business like that now. Yeah.
In that case, give me back my check. Let me go and look for someone that understand business.
Take.
Your loss.
It is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No,
you will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people, make not really add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. You are watching TV360 News Now. The Naira is seen trading within a range on both the black market and official interbank window. CBN continues to inject more dollars to boost liquidity in the foreign exchange market. The currency was quoted at $3.79 per dollar at the investor window, while it traded flat at $3.80 to the dollar on the black market. CBN has consistently intervened in the foreign exchange market since February this year and has sold more than $4 billion to various sectors of the Nigerian economy. Just when Nigerians think they may be nearing the end of a bumpy ride, an economic expert is saying the worst is far from over. Austin Nweze, who spoke to TV360, says Nigeria's economy is not moving away from recession, rather it's going towards depression. The scary verdict comes just days after the National Bureau of Statistics released its latest report showing Nigeria's economy had contracted by 0.52% in the first quarter of this year.
When the government came out and said that we are coming out of recession and that we recover by June and all that, I was just wondering where they got the information from and what figures are they using to compute in their statistics, the data, the source of data. Because if the source of data is faulty, it will affect every statistical information that you have. And it's so glaring out there that the economy is still shrinking, and we're actually heading towards depression, because it's the fifth quarter now. The economy has shrunk up to the fifth quarter. That means we're heading towards, depression. And from stagflation and all that, the income is stagnant and inflation is high and all that. So it's a terrible thing, for the economy, and we hope that the policymakers will begin to think of other longer-term and medium-term strategies to get us out of the woods.
Nweze says the government needs to sit tight and come up with policies to encourage local production and job creation in Nigeria.
My take has always been that it's not only the government that has the duty of getting us out of recession. Now, the government policies, I keep saying that the interest rate has a way of affecting the entire economy. Now, what the government and the recent MPC met, the Monetary Policy Committee met, and they retained interest rate at 14%. That means the cost of capital, the cost of borrowing is, is really high. You cannot borrow less than 25%. And for that, it is still expensive. Cost of, production is expensive. No business can expand. Actually, the policy has shown that we are running a contractionary regime right now. So these are some of the issues. And the interest rate is high. The inflation is still high, and then the foreign exchange. The foreign exchange rate is too high, and you're saying you're coming out of recession. And these are the three unholy trinity that influence the entire economy. So I don't see how we are coming out of recession, but I'm happy that the National Bureau of Statistics came up with the latest statistics to show that we are still in
Oil prices edged back up on Friday after a 5% fall in the previous session on disappointment that an OPEC decision to extend current production curbs did not go deeper. Brent futures were up 17 cents at $51.63 per barrel, while U.S. crude remained below $50 per barrel at $49. At Thursday's meeting in Vienna, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and some non-OPEC producers agreed to extend a pledge to cut around 1.8 million barrels per day of output until the end of the first quarter of 2018. The initial agreement would have expired by next month. At least 26 people have been killed and 25 wounded after gunmen opened fire on a bus carrying Coptic Christians in central Egypt. The Coptic The Coptic Orthodox Church is the main Christian church in Egypt. The incident occurred in Minya province as the bus headed to the monastery of St. Samuel. Attacks on Coptic Christians prompted President Abdul Fattah al-Sisi to declare a nationwide state of emergency and promise to do whatever it takes to confront jihadists. World leaders at the G7 summit on Friday met in Sicily. The town is a promised land for thousands of migrants making the desperate journey from North Africa to Europe. Italy chose to stage the summit in Sicily to draw attention to Africa. The government of Italy is eager for rich nations to do much more to help develop Africa's economy and make it more appealing for young people to stay in their home countries. This week, Italy received at least 4,515 migrants to the country. It was a 56% increase from the previous week, according to the International Organization for Migration. Now, leaders from Tunisia, Ethiopia, Niger, Nigeria, as well as Kenya will discuss the issue of migrants on Saturday. South Africa's new coach, Stuart Baxter, did not spring any surprises when he named his first squad in Johannesburg. The Englishman, appointed earlier this month, says he was looking for warriors for the June 10th opening African Cup of Nations qualifier against the Super Eagles of Nigeria in Uyo. Baxter named 25 players for the match, which is a tough start for Bafana Bafana in their bid to qualify for the 2019 finals in Cameroon after missing out on this year's tournament in Gabon. Jorge Sampaoli will become Argentina's new coach after his club Sevilla confirmed it had reached an agreement with the Argentine FA. A statement from Sevilla says that the Argentina FA had agreed to pay the release clause for the former Chile coach, and he will be officially announced on Thursday, June 1st. Sampaoli's first task will be to ensure Argentina qualifies for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. The team is currently in 5th position in that tournament. Only the top 4 teams will qualify automatically for Russia 2018. World number 14 Petra Kvitova is set to return to action in the 2017 French Open tournament after recovering from wrist injuries sustained in a knife attack. The Czech was included in this Friday's French Open draws, where she was seeded in 15th position despite 6 months out of the game. Her rankings had been protected owing to the nature of her absence. The former Grand Slam champion had suffered non-life-threatening injuries to her wrist after her home was burgled last December. That's all we have on News Now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.